Welcome to students. So, in the previous class we had seen that we can look into the dynamics of linear systems, especially we are interested in 2 dimensions, we are not going for higher dimensions now, by getting into its Jordan form. So, today we will be continuing with that discussion by looking into the asymptotic properties of linear transformation in R square. So, we are looking into the system. So, basically we are interested in the system R square L, where L is a linear transformation. Now, since L is a linear transformation, there exists a matrix, A, which is basically a 2 cross 2 matrix, such that L of u is basically A u, and this is true for every u in R square. Let us look into the condition. So, we are looking into this condition that determinant. So, we suppose that determinant of A minus I, the identity matrix, is not equal to 0. To say that the determinant of A minus I is not equal to 0 means that A minus I is invertible, right? It is non-singular, and A minus I is non-singular means that this will not have any. So, basically it means that 1 is not an eigenvalue, right. So, this means that A minus I is non-singular, and what happens in that case? Origin is the only fixed point of A. So, origin happens to be the only fixed point for our linear transformation L. Now, as discussed in the last lecture, in order to compute the orbit, of any x in R square, it is enough to look into the Jordan form . J of A. All we need, we know that when we are computing an orbit, all we need is just to look into what is the Jordan form, and the Jordan form helps us in computing the orbit. So, without loss of generality, we can take our A to be in its Jordan form, right. So, we can have our discussion . So, we can just take A to be in its Jordan form, and hence what we have here is, so our LU is basically JU, where J is a Jordan matrix for every u in R square, and other than that we are putting up the condition that determinant of say j minus I is not equal to 0, that means j minus I is invertible, and that means that 1 is not an eigenvalue. So, 1 is not an eigenvalue, and since this happens, we know that origin is the only fixed point of L. So, the only fixed point and we know origin means our vector 0 0. We are now interested in looking into the asymptotic properties of all the points of the orbits of all points in R square. So, what are they behaving? We know that we have one fixed point which is the origin, and then we also know that since we are working with eigenvectors, right, we will have some kind of a splitting by eigenvectors. So, basically they will be spanning the set, either the eigenvectors or the generalized eigenvectors will be spanning the space. So, we have a structure, we have a nice geometric structure given by these eigenvectors, and that is what helps us in determining the dynamics here. So, we look into the first case. Now, since we are working with just the Jordan form, right, it is enough to specify what the Jordan form is and work with it. So, in the first case we let our J to be of the form lambda 1 0 0 lambda 2, where lambda 1 and lambda 2 are not necessarily distinct. So, our case is when we have our Jordan form in a diagonal form, what happens in that case? Now, when the Jordan form is in a diagonal form, nice form, we know that lambda 1 will have an eigenvector, lambda 2 will also have an eigenvector. So, in that case what happens in this particular case, we have two linearly independent eigenvectors. Let us name these eigenvectors. So, this I am calling it y1, which is my 1 0, right. This is an eigenvector for lambda 1, and we have y2 0 1, right, which is an eigenvector for lambda 2. So, we have these two linearly independent eigenvectors y1 and y2. Now, even in this case, right, we can have several sub cases here, and the sub cases depend on what is the value of lambda 1 and lambda 2. So, let us try to look into the first sub case here. So, what is this first sub case here? So, the first sub case here is that if my mod of lambda 1, now we are taking up mod because the way it tends, right, either it is alternately, so it is basically either what to say roaming around 0, right. So, how it tends to 0, right, it depends on what is the value of lambda 1, right. So, it may switch over from one place to the other and then tend to whatever properties it is tending to. So, we will look into what happens here when lambda 1 is less than 1, mod of lambda 1 is less than 1 and mod of lambda 2 is also less than 1. We are looking into this particular sub case. Now, if this happens, right, what does it mean is that basically we know that every vector can be written as a linear combination of eigenvectors, and because of that it is basically the action on eigenvectors that is determining the action on every point. And when my lambda 1 is less than 1, lambda 2 is also less than 1, that means there is some kind of a contraction observed in the direction of eigenvectors, and hence overall, since every point is a linear combination of eigenvectors, there is an overall contraction observed, and so the origin here becomes a sink, right. If every orbit will be asymptotically tending towards the origin. So, here what happens in this case is that all orbits tend to the origin as n tends to infinity, but there is some difference still that you can observe here. So, if we have say mod of lambda 2 is less than mod of lambda 1 is less than mod of lambda 2, right, this is less than 1. What happens in that case? Then you see mod of lambda 1 to the power n, it tends to 0 faster because it is less, right. So, it tends to 0 faster than mod of lambda 2 to the power n, and hence the general orbit will be asymptotic to y2, or I should say it would be lambda 2 to the power n 0 1. So, general orbit basically this will be a dominating factor because this is tending to 0 faster, this is a dominating factor. So, the general orbit will be asymptotic to this y2, and again we know that also y2 is also tending to 0. So, ultimately everything will tend to 0. On the other hand, so let us try to look into the picture here. So, we have this picture here, what happens here when your lambda 1 is less than lambda 2 is less than 1. So, you have this direction of y1, you have this direction of y2. Now, in the direction of y1 and y2 also, since the eigenvalue is less than 1, it is converging to, in this direction it is converging to 0. But now what happens here is your lambda 1 is tending to 0 faster than lambda 2. So, every orbit from wherever you start, every orbit will be first converging towards y2. So, they will become asymptotic to y2, and then as y2 moves along to 0, this is also moving along to 0. What happens on the other hand? So, we have that the origin here, right, which is basically the point 0 0, the origin here happens to be a sink in this case, right, but the behavior is a little bit different here because everything is first tending to y2. It is first of all being asymptotic to y2 and then converging to 0. Now, what happens on the other hand? So, let us look on the other hand. If my mod of lambda 2 is less than mod of lambda 1, then we know that mod of lambda 2 to the power n will be converging to 0 faster than mod of lambda 1 to the power n, and so a general orbit will be asymptotic to y1. On the other hand, it should be basically lambda 1 to the power n, right, 1 0. So, it is asymptotic to y1, and then again since my y1 is converging to 0, this will converge to 0. So, we can see the picture over here. So, we try to see the picture over here, we have this direction of y1, direction of y2, and since my modulus of lambda 2 is less than modulus of lambda 1, this is tending to 0 faster, and so you take any general orbit, it is basically being asymptotic to y1 and then it is tending to 0. So, here also your origin happens to be a sink, right, but the behavior is different from the previous case. So, this is basically the behavior when you have your both eigenvalues less than 1, but then the difference in behavior happens when one is less than the other. So, all we can conclude here is that origin here is a sink. Whatever be the case, the origin is a sink. The origin is the only fixed point and the origin here is a sink. Let us look into the second case. If mod of lambda 1 is greater than 1, right, and mod of lambda 2 is also greater than 1, then the origin is a source. Your origin is source because everything is basically asymptotic to the origin in the negative direction. As n tends to minus negative, it is asymptotic to the origin. But what happens here again? I can still have some difference between these two. So, what happens if lambda 1 mod of lambda 1 is greater than mod of lambda 2 is greater than 1? What happens in that case? So, the orbit will be first asymptotic to lambda to y2, so sorry, to y2, which is basically lambda 2 to the power n 0 1, right, as n tends to minus infinity, and it will be dominated by y1 as n tends to infinity. So, basically as your time increases, right, it is basically going to be dominated by y1 because the action of y1 lambda 1 is greater there, right. So, the action of y1 happens to be having a larger impact there, and if we look into what happens as you decrease time, right, as time tends to minus infinity, it will be basically dominated by the other vector because your lambda 2 happens to be smaller. So, what happens here is you have this origin to be a source. So, let us look into the figure here. So, you again have this y1 direction, y2 direction. Your origin happens to be a source here. So, this is basically your origin, which is a source here, and what happens here is that it is basically being, see, in the negative direction it is being asymptotic to y2. So, the orbits are asymptotic to y2 as n tends to minus infinity, right, and then they are dominated by y1 because it is more increasing towards the y1 direction as n tends to infinity. What happens now if mod of lambda 2 is greater than mod of lambda 1 is greater than 1, right? We can discuss similarly. So, what happens in that particular case? Again we can have similar concept here, but then here what would happen here is that I would have something like this, right. This is my y1, this is my y2, right, and everything is coming up in this particular direction. So, it is just the same idea here. Now, there is a third criteria here where one of them can be greater than 1 and one of them can be less than 1, right. So, we have a third case here, third sub case here, and that says that if my mod lambda 1 is less than 1 and mod lambda 2 is greater than 1. What happens in that case? So, it is being contracted in one direction and it has been expanded in the other direction. So, your origin basically becomes a saddle, right. It is neither a sink nor a source, but it is a saddle, right. So, the origin is saddle . So, you can say something like it is basically something like unstable because it is a saddle, nothing is converging to the origin, but it is attracting also from one direction and it is repelling also from the other direction. So, the origin happens to be a saddle, and you can see this part where your lambda 1 is between 0 and 1, right. So, basically it is converging towards the lambda 1 direction, but it is diverging towards the lambda 2 direction. So, basically in the y2 direction it is diverging. So, this behaves like a saddle, right. So, origin behaves in this case origin behaves like a saddle, and we are left with the last sub case because we are working with a diagonal Jordan form. The last sub case is when what happens when both the eigenvalues are the same, right. So, the last sub case is if your lambda 1 is same as lambda 2 is same as lambda, and let us assume that this is less than 1, then the origin will be a sink. But we have something else observed here, and every orbit converges to the origin with a constant slope. Look into that. You are starting with an orbit. Every point is a linear combination of the two eigenvectors. But now what happens to both the eigenvectors, because we know that both the eigenvectors have the same eigenvalue, they both are contracting, so they are equally contracting, and since they are equally contracting, what happens, you start with any orbit any place, right, it will be basically converging to the origin, but it is going to converge to the origin with a constant slope, right. So, everything converges to the origin with a constant slope. So, again here the origin is a sink, so this is the origin and the origin here is a sink. So, the origin is a sink, but we have a difference here that every orbit is converging to the origin with a constant slope. Now, we can similarly discuss what happens if your lambda 1 is same as lambda 2 and that is greater than 1, right. Then basically everything will be moving apart, but how does it move apart? So, basically everything will be asymptotic to the origin, right, as n tends to minus infinity, but else it was going to move apart, right, and it will move apart also, it will move similarly, right, with constant slope, it will move apart also in the same manner, right. So, we can similarly discuss in the diagonal case, when the Jordan form is a diagonal, right, it is a diagonal matrix, we have 4 sub cases, right. The behavior of the orbit ultimately it is the same, right, everything is converging to the origin depending on, of course, either it is sink or source, right, and it is saddle, we have these 3 cases, but even when it is a sink or when even when it is a source, right, the behavior is a little bit distinct depending on what is your value of lambda 1 and lambda 2, whether they are greater than 1 or less than 1, but ultimately the behavior automatically turns out to be something similar. Physically there may be a little bit difference, geometrically there may be a little bit difference, but analytically we have the same what to say behavior here. So, we are interested in looking into what happens now if your Jordan form, because we know that there are 3 types of Jordan form. So, we are looking into the case, second case. So, we look into the case 2, where my Jordan form is of the form, right, lambda 1 0 lambda. So, basically I have an eigenvector and I have a generalized eigenvector. What happens if mod of lambda is less than 1? So, let us look into the first sub case here. If mod of lambda is less than 1, what happens in that case? Then since my lambda to the power n is converging to 0, right, now lambda to the power n converges to 0, it can either converge monotonically, right, or it can switch over and converge to 0, right, both the things are possible. So, lambda n is converging to 0 and lambda n is converging to 0, we see L'Hopital's rule here, right, look into the derivative there, that means that n times lambda to the power n minus 1 is also converging to 0. And what does that mean? As n tends to, this happens as n tends to infinity, right. What happens in this case now? If you look into Jn, right, it was basically lambda to the power n times lambda to the power n minus 1, lambda to the power n, and this is basically converging to 0. So, if you start with any orbit, right, any orbit is going to converge to 0. So, any orbit converges to 0. So, basically you can say that hence any orbit converges to the origin asymptotic. Now, since this is a dominating factor here, it is origin asymptotic to the x axis, because we have only one eigenvector here, right, and our eigenvector is basically the x axis. The second one is a generalized one, right. So, it is basically converging to the origin which is asymptotic to the x axis, because the x axis is dominating there, right. So, it is basically it is asymptotic to the x axis and the origin is a degenerate sink. So, what do we mean by saying that it is a degenerate sink? Let us look into the picture. So, look into the picture here. I have this y1 here, right. Now, y2 is no longer a eigenvalue, right. We have a generalized eigenvalue which depends on y1. So, this is one of the eigenvectors. Y2 is no longer an eigenvector, y1 is an eigenvector, and we have a generalized eigenvector depending on this part. So, this is y1, and if we try to see what happens to the orbit. So, the orbit is first basically any orbit is first being asymptotic to y1 and then it is converging to 0. So, start with any orbit, it is basically going to be converging to the x axis and then it is converging to the origin. So, this is basically a degenerate sink. What happens in the case when mod of lambda is greater than 1? Now, we know that mod of lambda is greater than 1, lambda to the power n is going to tend to infinity, right. So, in that case our origin is a degenerate source. And we can see the figure here, what happens in this particular case. So, we have the origin. So, we have this eigenvector y1, right, y2 is no longer an eigenvector here, but then this is greater than 1, right, the eigenvalue is greater than 1. So, everything is basically moving away from the origin. This is moving away from the origin, it is basically moving away from the origin in a degenerate form, right, not a direct form, it is degenerate form. So, this is what happens when your Jordan form is of the form lambda 1 0 lambda and you have these two values. We are not looking into the case when mod lambda to be equal to 1, we are not looking into 1 to be an eigenvalue here. So, basically you can think of that to be a hyperbolic case. So, let us look into the third case now. So, alpha beta minus beta alpha, this is what your j is. Now, we have already seen how do we work out with such j, right. So, we take our omega to be tan inverse beta by alpha and we let lambda be equal to root of alpha square plus beta square, and then we know that we have cos omega to be equal to alpha by lambda and we have sin omega to be equal to beta by lambda, right. We had seen this particular construction. So, if we try to look into now any orbit here, right. So, the orbit would be of the form, say you start with an x, the orbit would be of the form jx, j square x, j cube x and so on. And in trying to compute j to the power n, we had seen that we have converted that alpha and beta into omega, right, and then we had tried to look into, so we have omega and lambda and then we had tried to look that jn can be computed in terms of cos and sin. Now, since jn can be computed in terms of cos and sin, when we had take up the orbit of any point, right, this will have the orbit will have a presence of cos omega and sin omega, I should say cos n omega and sin n omega. So, cos omega and sin omega definitely they are present there. So, if we try to look into this particular point, right, we can never have this completely tending towards 0 in some sense, right, because you have cos omega, you have sin omega, right. So, exactly it is not going to tend towards 0, right, because if there is a cos, if your cos omega tends to be 0, you know, your sin omega is going to take care of that part, right. So, what happens in this case, we have a very nice picture here. So, let us look into the first sub case here. So, the first sub case here is if mod of lambda, because we now have this lambda which is basically the modulus of alpha plus of the eigenvalue. So, the eigenvalue is alpha plus beta I, right. So, we are looking into the modulus of eigenvalue. So, what happens here is if mod lambda is greater than 1, right. So, basically this is actually my mod lambda. So, my mod lambda is greater than 1, sorry, is less than 1, then the origin is a sink with each orbit spiraling towards it. And what do we mean by each orbit spiraling towards it? Let us try to see the picture here. My mod lambda, or I should say mod lambda 1 here, because this is what we had started with lambda 1, right. So, this was our lambda 1 because we had only one eigenvalue here. So, we look into this part, we look into this factor. So, what we have here is mod lambda 1 is less than 1, right. Each orbit is basically spiraling towards the origin. Ultimately, definitely it is going to converge to the origin because your modulus, the magnitude is basically lambda. So, lambda n is basically going to tend to 0, right. So, this is like when you are looking into j n, right, the nth iterate, right, it will have something like mod lambda 1 to the power n, right, into some rotation, right. So, that is basically a rotation matrix, right. So, since your rotation matrix is rotating, but ultimately your lambda 1 to the power n is tending to 0. So, it will ultimately converge to the origin. So, origin here is definitely a sink, right, but how is it doing? It is basically just spiraling around because of the presence of the rotation matrix. So, what happens here in the second case? So, we look into the second case here. So, the second case here is if mod of lambda 1 is greater than 1. Again, what happens in this case? Again, you have a rotation matrix and you have your lambda, and your lambda will basically lambda greater than 1 means it is basically tending to infinity. So, your origin is a source now, but the orbits are spiraling around it, right. So, the origin is a source with each orbit spiraling out from the origin or I could say that each orbit is spiraling towards the origin, right, as n tends to minus infinity. So, this is what happens to our source. So, let us look into this picture here once again. So, we have this particular source when mod lambda is greater than 1. So, you have that any nearby orbit is basically going to spiral around the origin, right, and then it is going to move apart. So, the origin tends to be something like a source, right. And then we have the third case here, because it is quite possible our 1 is not an eigenvalue, that is definitely true, but it is quite possible that you may have mod of lambda 1 to be equal to 1. Right. So, our third case here is if mod of lambda 1 is 1, what happens in that particular case? Now, we try to look into mod lambda equal to 1, Think of that. What is your Jn now? It is mod lambda 1 to the power n into a rotation matrix. So, mod lambda 1 itself is 1. So, that means there is nothing changing there, all it is doing is rotation. So, what is your Jn doing? It is taking a vector and it is just rotating the vector by some angle, right. So, since it is just rotating the vector, what you would find is that you take any orbit, you start with any orbit, right. Basically, the orbit follows a circular path, right, centered at the origin. It will just form a circular path centered at the origin, the modulus will remain the same, right, it just takes a circular path centered at the origin. And in that case, what would you call the origin? It is neither a sink nor a source, nor it is some kind of unstable also, that it behaves in some manner in some direction, right. So, we gave a special name to the origin here, we say that the origin happens to be a center, right. The origin is a center here and rest everything is just moving around the origin, right, all the orbits are just moving around the origin. So, if mod lambda 1 is equal to 1, then the origin is a stable center I would call it center with each orbit following a circular path around it. So, we get back to our picture. So, what does our picture say here is that I have these are my eigenvalues here, alpha plus or minus I times beta. So, and the modulus is 1, and if you think of every orbit, right, every orbit is just rotating around the center. So, the origin is a center and every orbit is just rotating around the center in a circular path, right. The radius remains the same, it is just rotating around the circle. We know that what happens to a general orbit in R square, this is basically we are looking into when 1 is not the eigenvalue, that means we are basically looking into the case of hyperbolic. So, of course, I will define hyperbolic later, but we look into the case when 1 is not the eigenvalue, and when 1 is not the eigenvalue, we find that there is only one fixed point, that is the origin. So, either everything is tending to the origin or everything is moving away from the origin or everything is rotating around the origin. So, these are the only possibilities that you can see, or you can think of origin to be a saddle, but then in that case also everything is moving out of the origin, right. So, these are the only possibilities. So, the dynamics happens to be very simple in that particular case. Okay. So, can we summarize all of this, because this is like we started with a Jordan form and we started discussing with the Jordan form, but as we have already seen that the eigenvalues remain the same if you consider similar matrices. Every matrix can be written in a Jordan form, right. So, ultimately if we look into what happens to the picture also, right, the dynamics ultimately depends on the eigenvalues. It does not depend on anything else, it just depends on the eigenvalues. Of course, we could see, we could draw things simply, because when you look into the Jordan form, right, you have your eigenvectors, you can take your, basically you can take your y1 and y2, right, to be eigenvectors in that particular case. So, you have your unit vectors here. So, but what happens here is in general, if you look into any matrix A, right, if we start with any matrix A, your matrix A also tends to be having the same behavior. There will be just a change of some vectors, right. So, just a linear transformation, but otherwise the behavior will be the same. So, we can summarize that in form of a theorem. Maybe I am writing the theorem right now. So, the following holds for the system R square L, where my LU happens to be AU, right, for U belongs to R square, and A is a 2 cross 2 matrix. So, the theorem says something like this, the following holds. So, the first thing that holds is if rho A is less than 1, the origin is a sink. If rho A is greater than 1, the origin is a source or a saddle. And the third case is if rho A is equal to 1, then the origin is a source if the Jordan form is of the form, the type I should write, is of the type lambda 1 0 lambda and a sink otherwise. Now, I have written rho A, but I have not defined what is rho A. So, basically rho A is the spectral radius of A that means I can say that rho A happens to be the maximum of mod lambda 1 mod lambda 2, right, maximum of one of these two numbers, right, where lambda 1 and lambda 2 are eigenvalues of A. If we have a linear system in R square, then if your spectral radius is less than 1, spectral radius is less than 1 means both your eigenvalues are less than 1, right. Both your eigenvalues are less than 1, the origin is definitely going to be a sink. If the spectral radius is greater than 1, right, there are two possibilities here. The spectral radius is greater than 1, then what happens to the second eigenvalue? The second eigenvalue could be greater than 1 or it could be less than 1, both the things are possible, right. And in case both of them are greater than 1, the origin happens to be a source. In case one of them is less than 1, so the other one is less than 1, right, what happens here is it becomes a saddle. So, if the spectral radius is greater than 1, the origin is a source or a saddle. What happens if the spectral radius is equal to 1? Now, this is something which we need to think because we have not thought about that aspect. We have looked into this case only when you are looking into the complex eigenvalues. So, what happens if it is equal to 1, right? Think of that. You have, if it is equal to 1 and the Jordan form is of the form, say the diagonal form, right, then basically a Jordan form is an identity matrix. What happens in that case? It's just going to be identity, nothing happens there, right. So, basically that case is not interesting at all, or we can think that okay fine, the origin happens to be sink, whatever is there remains there itself, right, it is just the identity case. So, it is just some kind of an identity that you observe here, nothing much changes there. What happens if it is of the, if the Jordan form is the form lambda 1 0 lambda? Now you have like 1 1 0 1, right, and if you try to take the iterations, basically you keep multiplying that with itself, you are going to tend, like you are going to tend to some matrix, right, which has value greater than 1, right. So, start with multiply that with any vector there, right. So, what happens in that particular case is you are tending away from the origin, and when you are tending away from the origin, your origin would be a source in that particular case, right. So, the origin happens to be a source here. So, when the Jordan form is of this particular kind for A, then the spectral radius is equal to 1, we mean that this is going to happen to be a source. In the other case again the spectral radius is 1, that means the other thing can be less than 1, right. The Jordan form is of the other kind, right, either it is equal to 1, both of them, then it is identity, nothing changes. If it is, if the other eigenvalue is less than 1, then again it is going to tend to the, because on one side it is not changing, but on the other side it is definitely converging, it is contracting on the other side. So, it is definitely converging to the origin. And we have already seen what happens in the case when we have complex eigenvalues, right. Then in that case the spectral radius is 1, right, gives you that the origin happens to be a center, right, the origin happens to be a center. So, the origin is a center, I have written a sink, maybe I should write it sink or center otherwise, right, sink or center otherwise, center otherwise, because that combines the other case also when wherever J happens to be the identity matrix. So, it is a sink or center otherwise. So, we have this basically the structure of the dynamics of the real systems on R square, right, tend to be of this particular form. But the case becomes more interesting when we are trying to look into something like if we look into R square or if we are looking into a 2-dimensional differentiable manifold. So, in that case we now have, we are not looking at our derivative, right, is also in form of a matrix, right, and then we are trying to look into what are the eigenvalues there, we try to look into that part. So, what we are going to do now is basically we will first of all look into, so what happens if in case we have some kind of affine maps, because these are linear maps. We can similarly think of what happens in the case of affine maps. So, we try to see what happens in case of affine maps, or if we are not working in R square, but we are trying to work in some differentiable manifold, right. So, maybe that is what we would try to look into now this lecture, but today we stop here.